Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. The game is already done. And I'm just doing a little reaction. The game, of course, was Iowa basketball taking on the Auburn Tigers. The Iowa Hawkeyes lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament. We're just going to dive straight into it. I want to talk a little bit about next year's team, this year's team, Fran McCaffrey as a whole, and things like that. So let's just start here. By the way, if you're not subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I want to hit 2,000 subs before the start of next football season. Help your boy get there. I'm very grateful to everybody who's already subscribed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Truly, you'll find no bigger Hawkeye fan. No, we're all huge Hawk fans here. Definitely like, comment on this video. Let me know what you guys think about the game. So let's start here. This season was it was strange in the sense of what happened with it was strange in the sense of the up and down flow of the Iowa Hawkeyes. We've seen previous Fran teams that are pretty consistent all the way through. This Iowa team was consistent in that they were always solid. They weren't, at times they were good, at times they were bad, very bad. At times I would say they were even elite. At times, they look like a top 15 caliber team. Then you have Patrick McCaffrey's thing, a guy who going into the season was I thought he was the number 2 player on this Iowa Hawkeye team coming into the season. And I think most people thought that. So you have that. He goes down. Then Iowa gets on a win streak after losing to Eastern Illinois, who was like a net 300 team, and they never improved from there. They were always a net 300 team. Iowa starts doing better, and all of a sudden the NCAA tournament is back in the picture. It was in the picture at the beginning of the season, then it was out with the loss, and then they were pretty much all season long. I would say for a majority of the season, they were always in the NCAA tournament. You look at this Iowa team, and so you have the Patrick McCaffrey thing. He comes back. He's not the same player as he was before. Didn't have the same role. So on and so on. Never really could gain it. Peyton Sandfort stepped up in his absence and continued to step up throughout the season. He started knocking his shots down. Tony Perkins stepped up. We saw Philip Rebracha step into his own. So you have that. And you look at this Iowa team this year, and they finished 19-14. And you ask, and it bums me out that Iowa was not able to get that 20th win. It really does, because, man, there were so many games on the table for them to get 20 wins. And I look at their record, and I go, they could have easily been a 23-win team, 22-23-win team, as I predicted before the season. This is the first time that I have been off by a couple of games in my preseason prediction in the past 4 years. And I made a post on Facebook, and I still believe this, okay, that I thought this was the most talented from top to bottom of all the major contributors team Fran McCaffrey has had. But then you look at their loss to Auburn and you go, well, and their loss to Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament, their loss to Nebraska at the end of the Big Ten regular season. And you go, well, no, they are a 19-14 team. They are. The biggest disappointment for me with this team by far was how bad they ended up being defensively. And let me tell you guys, at the beginning part of the season, that was not the case. They were hovering around like 70. I think they got as high as 62. Now, of course, they were playing some mediocre teams, some good teams, but they finished 100. Let me see. And is it 88 or 68? I got to zoom in. Sorry, guys. Iowa finished, and this is abysmal, 168th in defensive efficiency. And it was like consistently there all year after the beginning part of the year. That to me is the most disappointing part of this season. But there's no doubt about it. Because, and I knew it, everybody knew it, this team had the players that made us believe that Iowa was finally going to be that serviceable defensive squad that we thought. Matter of fact, I thought that they would take not a huge step back offensively, but a step back. I thought they'd be between 10 and 20 in offensive efficiency, and their defense would be the one that carried them to the NCAA tournament. Boy, was that not true. They had Tony Perkins, Aaron Eulis, all of their wings are athletic. Chris Murray, Patrick McCaffrey, Peyton Sandfort's not the most athletic guy, but he's still athletic. Philip Obracha. And you could say, well, Nolan, Iowa was really hurt by not having a huge big guy to clog the lane. And you know what? There's probably some truth to that. There probably is, which is on Iowa. They got to fix that. They need to ensure that never happens again, whether it be the transfer portal or whatever. And it has nothing to do with Philip Obracha. Philip Obracha is going to go down as one of my favorite Hawkeye players. Honestly, he was awesome. He was awesome. He was probably Iowa's second best player this year. So huge letdown there. My final comment on this season is it's a huge bummer to me that Iowa has been unable to make it out of the first weekend, considering they have had, when it's all said and done, they will have had 4 draft picks in the past 2-3 years. Joe Wieskamp, Luka Garza, Keegan Murray, and Chris Murray. Furthermore, Iowa will have had 2 first-round draft picks in Keegan and Chris. Now, Chris had a hell of a year. And statistically, he's neck and neck with his brother. But it did seem that his brother was a little bit more consistent and had a little bit more of a Keegan was able to solely win a game on his back. That's how good he was at times. Chris, I don't think has that in him yet. Close, but not quite. But either way, I don't want to nitpick Chris Murray here. Iowa will have had a first rounder in back-to-back years now, and they still will not make it out of the first round. That's a bummer. Or first weekend. So, you look at this back-to-back years being dropped in the first game. Hell, forget about making it out of the first weekend. Back-to-back years being bounced in the first year. Now, moving this on, because I don't want to do this video too long. It's tough. And this brings me to my Fran McCaffrey point, which is it's tough because, and I've done a video on Fran McCaffrey, you should go back and watch it, where I discuss, has Fran McCaffrey done enough? And it's very difficult because on one hand, he's done something that no or maybe one Iowa Hawkeye basketball coach is done making the NCAA tournament, it would be 5 straight years, including the COVID year. Definitely 4 if you don't, which has not happened in the Fran McCaffery era. I remember I read it was either Hawk Report or Hawk Central, where they said that fans of Iowa basketball needed to relax when Iowa was struggling a few years back, Tyler Cook, Jordan Bohannon year, because he said, whoever, I can't remember who the author was, good Iowa programs are lucky to make the NCAA tournament 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row. In other words, even a good Iowa program has a down year every now and again. So it's hard for me to be too hard on Fran because Iowa is competing in the Big Ten. They are one of the better Big Ten basketball programs. They are a staple in the Big Ten when it comes to basketball right now. The past 7 years, Iowa basketball is one of the top 5 Big Ten basketball programs. I would say it's them, it's Michigan State, it's Indiana, Michigan, maybe, I mean, even Ohio State has struggled to have the consistency that Iowa has had. But on the other, Iowa is, and they've won the Big Ten tournament, which is cool. That's awesome. But it's all about the NCAA tournament. It really is. And we haven't made it out of the first. This is like, it's 11 years in, 11, 12 years in. And I just don't think, I used to be hopeful that we would potentially see the changes that were needed to get Iowa to that next step. And if there was a time to do it, it would be now. Because now, although Iowa has had success, there's also a sense of complacency in what I'm talking about surrounding the lack of getting out of the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. So maybe this is the moment where, but I doubt it because we're 11 years in. I doubt Fran is going to have a come to Jesus moment where he says, we got to clamp down defensively. We have to figure it out defensively. So I'm mixed on kind of where I'm at with Fran McCaffery in the Iowa basketball program. Honestly, I am. I don't want to be an overly, spoiled Iowa fan here, but I think Iowa is capable of more. And a lot of it has to do with Fran McCaffery. It does, in fairness. All right, moving on. Last topic here. You guys are like, well, Nolan hasn't even talked about the Auburn game. Listen, guys, the bottom line with the Auburn game, Iowa came out way too slow. Chris Murray did not have one of his better games of the season. It was really only Peyton Sandfort, Phillip, and Chris. It just they just did not. Tony Perkins did not come to play. I was hopeful that Iowa was finally going to get that guard play that they needed in it, the vaunted guard play that's needed in an NCAA tournament, but they didn't get it. Aaron Eulis was not good. So, and let's just look at the team stats here. Terrible 3-point shooting. And see, that's the biggest, and this is why Iowa does struggle in the NCAA tournament, because offense does not travel. Certainly 3-point shooting. And you have to have a second gear that you can fault back on and win games on when your first thing is not clicking. And Iowa, the past couple of years, doesn't really have that. They aren't good enough defensively to win a game only on defense. They're not. Guys, they lost this game because they gave up 83 points to Auburn. Plain and simple. A fairly average Auburn offensive team. All right. They won the rebound battle. You know, statistically, it doesn't look that bad. But, you know, anyways, it's too bad they lost to Auburn. This was a very winnable game. Last topic, next year. This next year Iowa team. Iowa's going to lose Chris Murray. Iowa is going to lose 3 starters. Okay, that's a big deal. Now, losing Connor McCaffrey, I don't necessarily consider him a full-blown starter like losing Phillip or Chris, but it's still significant because he's a team leader. He's a voice. Now he's gonna be in the locker room still, because he will probably be a coach, so he won't completely be gone. But nonetheless, losing 2.5 starters is a big deal. Losing a first-round draft pick in Chris Murray is a big deal. This is going to be the first year in a while where there's going to be question marks regarding who is Iowa's top player going into the next season. Iowa is currently favored to land, I think his name is Evan Braun from Belmont, a big guy who is from Iowa City. That would be a good get if they can get him. Going into next year, it's how whether Iowa will be able to make a run at the NCAA tournament will all depend on Tony Perkins, Peyton Sandfort, and Patrick McCaffrey. As the team is currently constructed, I don't think Iowa will be a favorite for the NCAA tournament. I think they will be one of those outside teams looking in with the possibility of making it there. But so it's hard to say. I mean, I believe Iowa has the talent. I like Peyton Sandfort's game. I really do. I think he can be one of Iowa's top scorers next year. Who knows about Patrick McCaffrey? I don't even know if he'll be on the team next year. Honestly, I really don't. Tony Perkins, I really like his game. We'll see what he can turn into over the offseason. I like Josh Dix. I like Desante Bowen. I think Desante Bowen will push Aaron Eulis for that starting point guard position. Iowa has pieces, and I really like the incoming freshman class. I believe that every single player in this incoming freshman class will play next year for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Every single one. So don't get me wrong. This is not me saying Iowa will not make the NCAA tournament next year. I think they definitely have a chance, especially with how good of an offensive system Iowa has. But this is the first time, for me at least, where it's like, we'll see. We'll see. It depends a lot on the development. It depends on who transfers out. I think it's almost a guarantee Josh Agundale and Riley Mulvey are going to transfer. I think it's almost a guarantee. Now, the only reason why they may not is because Phillip Rebraca is graduating. Connor McCaffrey, Chris, 2 front court guys are graduating. So there's a lot of minutes to be had. And I wish Frank McCaffrey had played them way more than he did. But I would not be surprised in the least if one or both of them transfer. So we'll see. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for me. I do have more thoughts on this Iowa basketball team, which perhaps I'll get into in another video. But for now, that's going to do it for me. Be sure to like, comment, and definitely subscribe. If you guys want to donate to the channel, you guys can donate by just clicking the donate button on this channel. Every donation helps support a fellow Hawk. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow and facts our feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you guys. Go Hawks. Bye-bye.